Hello, my name is Kevin and I'm a driver here at Superego. Currently, I work for Jordan Holdings Inc. My time here, I've been through a bunch of dispatches. I've been through about 8 dispatches. I've been here about almost 3 years. In May, on the 7th, will make my 3rd year here at Superego. The thing I can say is it's all on you. I've seen so many negative inputs and things people have been through. Number one, this is a spot on market. What do I mean by spot on market? What I mean is take the time to figure out, if I go to this certain area, is it worth it? Is it worth my time to go there? Is it worth me taking the time to go there? Is it worth, am I going to be able to get out? So if you go to an area where you know there's about, I'll just give numbers, 300 loads going in and 100 going out. That's just an example. So if I know that it's 300 loads going in and it's 100 loads going out, that's a possibility. If I don't get in early enough, or I could possibly get underbidded for a load, I might end up getting stuck in that area and might have to deadhead out. So what is that? That is a loss. Again, your experience might not be my experience, but just know that working for Superego, before the rates took a crap, I was doing pretty good. I'm still doing okay. I'm not doing the greatest, but I'm doing okay. And the reason why I'm still here is because I do ministry. I get to go home every weekend. And some weeks are better than other weeks, I get it. And I basically get to pick what load I want. Yeah, people are going to get on here and say, well, you work for this company, they steal. I'm not saying anything on that because I'm not here to talk about that. All I'm here to do is tell you about my experience with Superego. Before I started here, it was during the pandemic, all right? When I started here, I was working for a job where last one in, first one out. I basically lost that job because I was one of the newer people hired, and all of a sudden, we had quarantine. When I flew to Chicago on my own dime, picked out a truck, which originally I picked out a truck and I didn't want that truck, so I switched it. My first truck with this company was a 2016 Freightliner Cascadia. All right, that was my first truck with this company, and I'll tell you why I had to get another truck. But that truck, when I got it, it had a little under 400,000 miles on it, I think. A little under it or a little over, one of the two. Can't really remember the exact numbers, but I do remember that as it got over to about closer to 600,000 miles, the truck started taking a crap. It constantly had to go to the shop, and I was losing more money than I was making. All right. So then I got myself another truck through them. I took that truck back and said, I can't make no money with this. They were able to redo it, my contract and my lease purchase contract, and I was able to get 2021 Volvo. A lot of people talk junk about Volvo. A lot of people talk junk about automatics. Now, I had what was then a manual. I can drive a manual. I would prefer a manual. But ever since I've had this Volvo, it hasn't been in the shop nearly as much. And when I got this Volvo, it was only like 100,000 something miles on it. All right? It hasn't been in the shop nearly as much, and I have been making money. But however, going back to take that load, get your dispatcher to pre-book you a load, getting you out of there, because it's a chance you could get there, and then because you're there, you may not get a load out, and you might have to sit for a day or two, which is going to lose you money. So I've seen a lot of people get on here and go out to California, or go down to Florida, or go into places down in the South right now. It's not really good. And then they complain about being stuck. They also complain about, well, I don't have enough fuel because this company, I'm going to be honest with you, when you started this company, make sure you have money saved up, because if not, you're gonna have to pay for a bunch of stuff. Like maybe you got fuel. Maybe if you get stuck, you might have to pay for fuel, or you may have to pay for your maintenance on your truck. So it's best, if you're going to start here, save the money up. When I started, I didn't do that. So I know what I'm talking about. I know what I went through, and I know that it wasn't the greatest. But if you're going to come here, make sure you have some money saved up before you get here. Now, I don't really know how the in processing go now. I hear now they have what's called the a driver liaison. All right. Alfredo is a good guy. He's got his channel is Cooking in the Hammer Lane. Check it out on here. He tells you how you can be successful as a driver here at Superego. Me and him have had many conversations, and the stuff that he knows, me and him kind of like share and trade notes. I haven't been able to really talk to him lately because he's now the driver liaison for Superego, which we didn't have before. Now, I will say that if you take the time, say you had to have a repair, and you know you didn't make that much that week before, pick up the phone, call finance, and see if they can help you out by doing maybe a payment plan, because they will pay for you to have maintenance, but they'll pull it out of your check, and you can have it broken up into payments so they don't take your whole check right away. And they will work with you. They will work with you. They work with me on a lot of things. I'm not going to really go into what it is, but it's been a lot of times where I needed their help, and they've helped me. Now, if you come over to Superego, you have to be of the mindset is I'm here to make the money to get my truck, or to save money up to go and do my own thing. All right. A lot of guys, they get on here and say, I didn't make no money. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Don't go there. That's a bad company. Everywhere you go, it's always something. It's always something. But for me, I've been blessed enough to be here, basically to go home whenever I feel like it, because you can go home whenever you want here at Superego. But if you go home, just remember you have a truck payment and you have all of the other payments that come out. So just make sure you're making your money. Like me, I go home Saturday, I get home. Sometimes I might get home Friday, and I come back out sometimes Sunday night or Monday morning. It's all on you. You basically have to look at your expenditures for the week, and you go by whatever they're going to give you as far as pay. Now, your lease does say they're going to give you 88% of the load that is offered to you. So that's the wording you have to watch. But that's not a bad thing, because you still can make money. A lot of people get on here and say, well, you got to be a fool for doing it. No. God has blessed me to maintain my household. Number one, I believe in the law of reciprocity. What is that? I do tithe based off my 10% to my church. And also, not only just that, I put my time in at the church, because you don't have to always be tithed in money. You can tithe with your time. But one thing I want to say to y'all is, if you come to Superego and you have the bad attitude and you want to talk junk and cuss out your dispatcher and cuss the people out, they're not going to want to help you. Pretty soon they're just going to leave you sitting. I came here with the mindset that this is not my permanent destination. This is only a stepping stone to get where I want to go. I've talked to other lease purchase companies. I've talked to friends that left here and they're at lease purchase companies, and they're doing what works for them. I'm not saying this is going to work for you. And there are times, I do want to give up. But I know that the Bible in Philippians 4:13 says I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. All right? So I speak favor onto myself, because I don't speak word curses onto myself. And I know that despite everything that goes on within this company, I can turn it into a positive to make the money that I need to survive and to have money left over. Now, I know that it's not great right now with everything going on in the economy, with the brokers not being transparent and everybody pulling their hand and getting whatever they want. And then when it gets down to the driver, it's at the bare minimum. But this company, in my experience, has been positive, and I've had my ups and downs with them. And I'm pretty sure if I stayed on the road 7 days a week and maybe went home like 3 or 4 days once a month or something like that, or once every 2 months, I could probably be somewhere else. But I have a mission that I told myself this year I was going to put God first. Even as a minister, sometimes we allow lies to get in the way. I allowed my life to get in the way and a lot of things, and it blocked a lot of my blessings. And then my pastor had to tell me, my spiritual covering, my pastor had to tell me, put God first and watch how things work out for you. When I started to make the decision to put God first, that's when I started doing a little bit better. I'm not saying I'm doing great, but God is blessing me. God is blessing me. And it ain't going to always be this way. Things are going to shift. Things are going to turn around. But I just know that this company has its ups and downs, but it's been overall good to me. Again, Superego. People talk about, well, all their negative experiences. I can only tell you about me and what I went through. And I will be back with more insight. I'll probably be putting more on this channel and getting it out there for people to see that you can make it out here. You can make it. You can make it, but you have to be determined to make it. You have to be able to let nothing come against you to stop you or to contaminate your mind to make it. Again, I go by the name of Rev Kev. And just look into it, man. That's all I can say. Look into Superego. They could be either great for you or bad for you. It's on you, really. Whatever you decide to let happen. You be the captain of your own narrative. You be the captain of your own destiny. But all in all, I say, let God lead you. Let God master every plan that you make. Everybody say, well, you should leave them, you should leave them, you should leave them. But when I'm a praying man. So when I do pray, God hadn't told me to make that step to move yet. And I try not to move out of that side of the will of God. No, I'm not going to say I don't move outside of the will of God. I'm saying I'm trying not. I'm going to say I don't. Because I know that the consequences, if I move outside of the will of God, I'm probably going to block some more blessings. Now, again, Superego ain't for everybody. But I can tell you about me and how I was able to I'm able to still turn a profit. Some weeks I don't do as great, but I'm still here. I'm still fighting, still pushing, still eating, as people would say. Why? Because of the determination in me. Number one, I'm an Army vet. Did 10 years in the Army, got hurt, got out, went into trucking. Never thought one day I'd be doing this. All right. Now, a lot of times when I see my fuel, another trick that I use, me personally, my truck can go 72. I think 72 is the max my truck can go. But I've learned that if I go 63, I save a lot more on fuel. I don't burn as much fuel if I go 62, 63. Anything between 60 and 65, I don't burn as much fuel. And therefore, my fuel bills haven't been high. Even when fuel was skyrocketed high, I didn't pay as much as some people because of my diligence in continuing to go between those speed limits. But there's little tricks you could learn. Like for me, I use a spreadsheet. I got what I'm getting paid for the load. Then I do the amount I'm getting paid divided by, times 0.80. The amount I'm getting paid times 0.80. Then that gives me a number there. Then I take that number that I got from that in that column, the third column, and I subtract it from how much fuel I got, and that's what I'm putting in that other column. So I say Say I spent $300 on fuel, the load is paying 16. All right. Then I take the 80% of the 16, it gives me the number. Then I take that number and I subtract however much money that I used to get fuel. And then that following column, I put times whatever my or minus whatever my amounts that is that come out with me getting the 88% and they getting the 12% based off of what they paid me on that load. And then I get the final number of what I got. Then I take the first column and I do the sum of that whole column, and then I get how much I'm having there, and then it'll put on the other end how much I'll get at the tail end of everything. So that's how I do it. The spreadsheet setup. I was in the military, I worked around a lot of spreadsheets, so that helps me. And one day I'll probably explain it even further. I'll do one where I explain it even further about how I use the spreadsheet to help me. I also use it. It helps me beneficial when I do my taxes. My spreadsheets help me. It also helps me when I'm doing my expenditures for the year for taxes. But anyways, this is Rev Kev signing off. Again, this is my experience so far. I'll maybe do some things where I might even do cooking on the truck and maybe take some questions about Superego that I can answer within my ability, or I can call and get answers for you. But this is Rev Kev signing off. Y'all have a blessed day.